The Montauk Project, one of the darkest and most intriguing mysteries of the 20th century, emerges as a tapestry of conspiracies and secret experiments, intertwining government, population, and unspeakable horrors into a narrative that challenges the thin line between reality and fiction. The setting is the Montauk Air Force Base, located at the farthest tip of Long Island, New York. Apparently decommissioned after World War II, the base became the epicenter of ultra-secret activities allegedly sponsored by the U.S. government. The Montauk Project, also known as the Phoenix Experiment, is said to have begun in the 1970s, but its roots run even deeper, linking back to the infamous Philadelphia experiment of 1943, which supposedly attempted to make a Navy ship invisible, but resulted in terrifying consequences, including time displacements and spatial distortions. In a plot that intertwines genius and mystery, Nikola Tesla, the legendary inventor and scientist, played a central role in one of the most enigmatic events in modern history, the USS Eldridge's rupture in the fabric of space-time. Legend has it that Tesla, whose inventions and theories had already challenged the limits of conventional science, developed an advanced device, possibly an evolution of his research in electromagnetic energy and wireless transmission. At the height of World War II, the United States government was desperate for any technological advantage that could secure victory. Tesla, already an established name in electrical innovations, was supposedly approached to contribute to an ultra-secret project, the Philadelphia Experiment. The goal was audacious: to render the destroyer escort USS Eldridge invisible to enemy radar. According to hidden witness accounts and vaguely worded documents, Tesla designed a device that would use electromagnetic fields to bend light around the ship, effectively making it invisible. However, the consequences were dramatically underestimated, or perhaps misunderstood by Tesla and his military collaborators. On August 12, 1943, the USS Eldridge was anchored in the Philadelphia harbor, surrounded by witnesses instructed to observe the crucial test. As Tesla's equipment was activated, a greenish-blue mist enveloped the ship. Witnesses described a light that pulsed like a beating heart, and for a moment, the Eldridge seemed to oscillate between visibility and invisibility. Then, the unimaginable happened. The ship not only disappeared from radar, it vanished entirely from sight, leaving behind nothing but an effervescent mist on the ocean. But this was only the first part of the phenomenon. Before we dive deeper into the intriguing Montauk Project, I'd like to ask you to subscribe to our channel and hit the like button if you're enjoying the content. Your interaction is crucial for us to continue unraveling mysteries that challenge our reality. Don't forget to comment below with the city you're watching from, so we can see how far our terrifying stories are reaching. Now, let's dive even deeper into this fascinating story. Almost instantly, the Eldridge reappeared in Norfolk, Virginia, more than 300 kilometers away, before returning to the Philadelphia harbor. The crew members aboard experienced horrific side effects. Some were physically fused to the ship, others disoriented or insane, and some reports speak of crew members who simply evaporated, leaving only their shadows imprinted on the deck. The strangest part, however, was the fate of the Cameron brothers, two young officers aboard the Eldridge. According to what would later be known as the testimony of Al Bielek, a man who claimed to have recovered suppressed memories of being Edward Cameron, Tesla had inadvertently opened a wormhole in the fabric of space-time. When the ship shifted, the brothers were thrown through this portal, emerging not in another place, but in another time, specifically on August 12, 1983, at Camp Hero, Montauk, Long Island. There they supposedly encountered a new secret project, an extension of Tesla's research and the Philadelphia experiment, now focused on temporal and psychic manipulation. Camp Hero, with its vast underground facilities and equipment that seemed like science fiction, was a fertile ground for even more audacious experiments. The story of the Cameron brothers and Tesla's contribution to these experiments laid the foundation for countless conspiracy theories and speculations about the extent of government research in mind control and reality manipulation. To many, Tesla was not just a pioneering scientist, but a man who, perhaps unintentionally, opened doors to dimensions and possibilities that humanity was still struggling to understand and master. This account, imbued with mystery and the shadows of the unknown, remains a powerful testament to the limitless capabilities of the human mind and the persistent curiosity about what really happened in the dark waters and secret corridors of projects like the Philadelphia Experiment and Montauk. At the heart of the Montauk Project was the exploration of mind control, time travel, and psychic manipulation technologies. Witnesses and supposed survivors, many of whom emerged years later, reported experiments that involved the abduction of young people, particularly the homeless and those less likely to be immediately missed. These individuals were subjected to an ordeal of psychological and physical tests, many of which included exposure to intense electromagnetic radiation, psychotropic drugs, and psychological torture, all with the aim of fracturing the mind and creating subjects susceptible to absolute control. The experiments didn't stop at mind control. Reports indicate that Montauk scientists delved into the depths of reality manipulation. Advanced equipment, like the Montauk chair, is said to have allowed operators to view future or past events and even materialize thoughts and physical objects. These sessions were exhausting and dangerous, often leaving the subjects mentally shattered or worse. Amid the shroud of mystery surrounding the Montauk Project, the accounts of the experiments conducted at the decommissioned Montauk Air Force Base in Long Island are truly terrifying. According to claims, mainly from Al Bielek, the project extended far beyond attempts to manipulate physical and temporal reality. It ventured into a dark territory of mind control and human exploitation, generating a series of nightmare-worthy events. The individuals chosen for the experiments were often the most vulnerable: missing children, homeless people, and those without strong family ties who could easily go unnoticed by society. According to Bielek, these people were abducted and transported to the base at Montauk, where they were subjected to a variety of psychological and physical tests without their consent. Many of these individuals, dubbed Montauk Boys, were subjected to procedures designed to fracture their psyche, making it easier to reprogram their minds. The experiments were conducted in deep underground facilities, where the corridors echoed with the sounds of machines and muffled screams. Inside these chambers, reality seemed distorted, lights flickered erratically, and the air was charged with a static electricity that made the skin tingle. The subjects were placed in devices resembling the Montauk chair, connected to machines that emitted powerful electromagnetic pulses. These devices were said to be able to amplify latent psychic abilities, allowing the project operators not only to read but also to manipulate thoughts. One of the most macabre practices reported involved the manipulation of perceptions of time and space. Witnesses claimed that Montauk scientists were able to project subjects into different dimensions or time periods, leaving them at the mercy of alternative and often hostile realities. Some returned speaking of desolate landscapes and horrifying creatures that inhabited these other worlds, while others simply never returned, lost in the fabric of space-time. One particularly horrific case involved a young man known only by the nickname John. John was reportedly subjected to an experiment that physically sent him to what he described as a city of shadows. According to his account, he walked among twisted buildings under an eternally gray sky, where hooded figures watched from corners and alleys. He spoke of sounds that were almost voices, whispering from hidden places, trying to lure him into the shadows. When John was brought back, he was unrecognizable, with white hair and eyes that saw things no one else could see. John's mind had been irrevocably altered, his body a living shell, but his essence lost somewhere unreachable. Rumors suggest that the Montauk experiments eventually became so uncontrolled that a creature was accidentally brought from another dimension. This entity, born from the desperate and unnatural manipulations of reality, was a mass of tentacles and eyes, a nightmare amalgamation that defied any known law of biology. It roamed the base, causing destruction and spreading terror before the project leaders managed to contain it. The base was quickly evacuated, and a frantic effort to shut down the project and destroy all evidence was initiated. The equipment was dismantled, the facilities sealed, and the survivors left with deep physical and mental scars. These accounts, though never officially confirmed, continue to fuel the legend of Montauk, a story that defies comprehension and enters the realm of pure horror, reminding us of the inherent danger when human curiosity surpasses the limits of ethics and morality. The terror wasn't confined to the boundaries of the base. The local Montauk community, though unaware of the full extent of the activities, occasionally reported unexplained phenomena: animals behaving strangely, electronic devices failing for no apparent reason, and sightings of creatures no biologist could identify. Stories of nighttime abductions and encounters with mysterious entities became common whispers among the residents. Even more sinister are the legends about the Montauk Monster, a grotesque creature supposedly born from genetic experiments, a horrific fusion of human and animal elements that escaped into the darkness of the nearby forests, feeding on local animals and, according to some, unsuspecting inhabitants. In the obscurity of Montauk, there are tales of a creature known as the Montauk Monster, a being born from the tortuous depths of unrestrained experimentation and genetic manipulation. It is said that this creature is a living patchwork, part man, part something undefinable. Its appearance is grotesque, with pale, translucent skin that barely covers its deformed muscles and bones. Disproportionate, glowing eyes, almost too large for its skull, emit a faint glow, reflecting eternal torment. Its hands and feet are disfigured, with elongated fingers ending in sharp claws capable of tearing through metal like paper. The Montauk Monster is said to be the product of a series of genetic engineering experiments that sought to combine human DNA with that of various animal species to create a super soldier. However, instead of an obedient warrior, the result was a haunted abomination, tormented by constant hunger and uncontrollable rage. A victim of its own existence, the creature supposedly escaped into the nearby forests, feeding on animals and, according to the darkest rumors, on unsuspecting humans. At the center of the labyrinth of conspiracies surrounding the Montauk Project, one of the most unsettling and potentially invasive inventions is known as the all-seeing eye. This device, shrouded in mystery and dark rumors, was allegedly developed in collaboration with the CIA and represented the pinnacle of surveillance and mind control. The all-seeing eye is not merely a camera or optical instrument. It is an amalgamation of advanced technologies, combining elements of artificial intelligence, biometric recognition, and advanced psychic monitoring techniques. The device, according to reports, would be capable of connecting directly to the human psyche, accessing not only visions and sounds but also emotions, thoughts, and even memories. Theoretically, the all-seeing eye functions by using a series of sensors and transmitters that pick up electrical signals from the human brain, interpreting them through extremely complex software. This system would allow operators to see through anyone's eyes, hear what they hear, and feel what they feel, all in real time. Even more disturbingly, the device could manipulate these perceptions, altering perceptions, inserting thoughts, or altering one's sense of reality. The CIA would allegedly use this device in surveillance and control operations. In a scenario where information gathering is crucial, being able to access the minds of political leaders, foreign intelligence agents, or even ordinary citizens would be an invaluable advantage. The all-seeing eye would then be the ultimate tool for espionage and psychological influence, capable of steering the course of geopolitical events without anyone ever realizing its influence. A mysterious story: the case of Adrian Cross. Adrian Cross was an investigative journalist who began exploring the rumors surrounding the Montauk Project after receiving information from an anonymous source. Intrigued and disturbed by the reports about the all-seeing eye, Adrian delved deep, uncovering forgotten files and connecting with informants who claimed to have been part of the project. One rainy autumn night, while working late in his office, Adrian began to sense a strange presence, as if someone or something was watching his every move. His own memories started to feel distant, as though they were being scanned and analyzed by an invisible mind. Phones rang with no one on the other end, and his electronic devices turned on and off by themselves. It was then that Adrian received an envelope with no return address, containing a single photograph, an image of him in his office, taken from an angle that could only have been captured from inside the room. On the back of the photograph, a handwritten message read, "The eyes of Montauk see all." Terrified but determined not to give in to fear, Adrian planned a secret trip to expose the entire story at a major press conference. However, he never reached his destination. His car was found abandoned on the side of a deserted road, with all his research materials missing. Adrian Cross was never seen again, and his story became a dark warning about the power and reach of the all-seeing eye. Since then, the myth of the all-seeing eye has grown, fueling conspiracy theories and paranoia about government surveillance. For some, Adrian Cross became a martyr, a man who paid with his life for trying to reveal the truth. For others, he is just another victim of the vast web of secrets protecting projects like Montauk, projects that continue operating in the shadows, watching and manipulating, always vigilant, always invisible. The conspirators of the Montauk Project are often depicted as a dark cabal, a mix of deviant scientists, high-ranking military officers, and government bureaucrats, all sharing a vision of a world controlled and shaped from the shadows. The project is said to have come to an abrupt end in the early 1980s, not out of remorse or legal intervention, but due to a catastrophic disaster that nearly destroyed the facility and killed several involved. A test subject, in a desperate act to stop the abuses, is said to have used the Montauk chair to generate a creature of pure energy, a manifestation of his own trauma and pain, which devastated the base. The story of the Montauk Project gained attention in 1992 with the book The Montauk Project: Experiments in Time by Preston B. Nichols. As early as 1980, rumors were circulating about American military forces conducting psychological warfare experiments on the far eastern tip of Long Island. Nichols' book only added fuel to an already burning fire. Both Camp Hero and the Montauk Air Force Station were identified as centers of these paranormal research activities, and Nichols' book described these operations as if they were part of a grand science fiction movie. Nichols claimed to have written the book after recovering memories of his time as a researcher on the project, detailing the inside of the facilities, the procedures, the advanced technology, and the paranormal incidents he witnessed. With the book's publication, other people came forward claiming to have knowledge of the illicit research conducted at the site, triggering a circular reinforcement process, a central mechanism in any respectable conspiracy theory. The claims in the Montauk Project include experiments in mind control and telepathy, opening portals to other dimensions, contact with extraterrestrial beings, and even the abduction of children for experiments. In 1984, public fascination with conspiracy theories was reinvigorated by the release of a film titled The Philadelphia Experiment. Based on events allegedly occurring during World War II, the film dramatized the U.S. military's attempt to render a warship invisible to radar, culminating in bizarre and catastrophic side effects, including time travel. 4 years after the release of that film, in 1988, Al Bielek came onto the scene, bringing with him a personal narrative that reinforced and expanded the legend surrounding the Philadelphia experiment and introduced a new layer of mystery with the Montauk Project. Bielek claimed that after watching the film, he experienced an overwhelming wave of déjà vu, leading him to therapy sessions and alternative memory recovery practices. During this process, Bielek asserted that he unlocked deeply repressed memories of his own involvement in the experiments. He said his real name was Edward Cameron, and that he, along with his brother Duncan, was an integral part of the events depicted in the Philadelphia experiment. According to him, both were subjected to experiences that challenged the boundaries of space and time, manipulated by advanced electromagnetic fields developed under the direction of scientists like Nikola Tesla. Bielek's story became even more complex when he linked these experiences to the Montauk Project, supposedly a darker and more advanced extension of the Philadelphia experiment. According to Bielek, after the alleged time travel caused by the original experiment, he and his brother were transported not only physically into the future, but also to the secret project at Camp Hero Montauk in 1983. In this new setting, they supposedly participated in experiments involving mind manipulation, astral projections, and tests with a Montauk chair, a device that allegedly amplified psychic powers and enabled extraordinary feats, such as manipulating matter and opening interdimensional portals. The saga of Bielek and the Montauk Project reached a dramatic climax when, according to him, the activities at Camp Hero spun out of control. In an effort to shut down the dangerous and inhumane experiments, a revolt among the participants led to the forced shutdown of the project. Bielek described a final catastrophic event in which a monstrous creature was manifested through the Montauk chair as a byproduct of the uncontrolled experiments, forcing those in charge to destroy the infrastructure to prevent further disasters. Bielek's claims, though widely regarded as fiction or delusion by critics and skeptics, contributed to solidifying the Montauk Project in the canon of conspiracy theories, inspiring works of fiction and ongoing debates about the limits of military science and the possible overlaps between reality and science fiction. At the heart of the Montauk Project, the tests conducted ranged from disturbing to unimaginable. Individuals subjected to experimentation were often exposed to intense electromagnetic fields intended to unlock latent psychic abilities. It is alleged that the Montauk chair, a central device for the experiments, amplified the subject's psychic abilities to extraordinary levels, enabling manipulations of physical reality and astral projections. However, the human cost of these experiments was devastating, resulting in severe mental disorders, loss of identity, and in some cases, death. One of the stories still told today, in the cold and damp twilight of Montauk's underground chambers, the muffled screams and whispers of terror from the disposables, as they were coldly called by the project's directors, echoed. These were boys snatched from the streets, orphans, runaways, and children of addicts, kids whom society had largely forgotten or ignored. Among them was Lucas, a boy of just 12 years, with tangled dark hair and eyes that still shone with traces of innocence he struggled to maintain. Lucas had been captured on the streets of New York, where he survived as best he could after fleeing an abusive foster home. Forcibly taken to the secret base, Lucas was subjected to a regime of terror designed to break his spirit and reprogram his mind. The experiments began before dawn. He and other boys were dragged from their cells and subjected to extreme temperature variations. The scientists observed with clinical interest as the rooms became so cold that the air the boys exhaled crystallized before them, only to then be heated until sweat ran in streams down their pale and malnourished bodies. Hunger was constant, interspersed with brief periods of excessive feeding, where they were given more food than they could consume, only to vomit due to the shock to their weakened systems. On some occasions, guards wearing unmarked uniforms and impassive faces beat the boys with wooden sticks for resistance tests. Lucas, his thin body covered in bruises, learned to count the seconds between blows, using the pain as an anchor for his fragmented reality. One of the most terrifying experiments involved water. Lucas and the others were submerged in tanks of ice-cold water, their heads forced below the surface until their lungs screamed for air. Just before they lost consciousness, they were pulled out, gasping and choking. The scientists claimed that simulated drowning would make them more susceptible to programming, linking obedience to the relief from torment and the presence of their saviors. To further manipulate their perceptions, LSD and other psychedelic drugs were regularly administered. Lucas remembers the vivid hallucinations where monsters and shadows danced on the walls of his cell, whispering promises of freedom that he knew were lies. In his altered states, he often found himself transported to other worlds, terrifying and beautiful in equal measure, where the laws of physics were mere suggestions, and time bent upon itself. In one of these induced journeys, Lucas found himself in a vast desert, under a starry sky that pulsed with an alien light. There he was approached by an enigmatic figure, a being made of shadows and light, who spoke of ancient secrets and forgotten wars among the stars. This creature, a product of his drugged mind or perhaps an entity from another dimension accessed through the experiments, offered Lucas a glimpse of hope, the promise that his pain was not in vain and that his suffering might be the key to something greater, something that could one day break the chains that bound him. When the drug wore off, Lucas returned to his world of confinement and pain, but with a new resolve burning within him. He knew that somehow the answers to his freedom, and that of the other boys, lay in the visions and experiences forced upon them. Armed with this new understanding, he began to observe more closely, learning the guards' patterns and the scientists' schedules, planning the day when he could turn his knowledge into action. Lucas's story, though one among many in the fog of secrets that is the Montauk Project, serves as a grim testament to the depths humanity can sink to in the name of science and power. In the shadows of Montauk's corridors, the echoes of his screams and resolutions intertwine, a constant reminder of the monsters we create in our pursuit of dominion over the unknown. In the darkness of his cell, with the dirty walls echoing the murmurs of the other disposables, Lucas began to craft his escape plan, using every piece of information and experience he had managed to gather during his moments of lucidity between the experiments. He knew that surveillance was weaker during the guard's shift changes, and that there was a small blind spot in the security cameras near the entrance to the underground labs. Lucas shared his plans with two other boys, Michael and Tomas, who had also been subjected to similar experiments and showed signs of mental resistance to the procedures. Together, they began to feign illness during the experiments to be taken to the infirmary, a place with less security and closer to an emergency exit they had identified. On a stormy night, when the sound of rain pounding against the concrete drowned out the base's noises, Lucas and his companions put their plan into action. With the help of a distraction created by Tomas, who faked a severe seizure, they managed to escape the guard's supervision and crawled across the cold, damp floor to the infirmary. Once there, with the nurse distracted, they accessed an unmonitored service corridor that led them to the emergency exit. The cold air of freedom cut across their faces as they ran through the forest, the darkness punctuated only by flashes of lightning. They knew they weren't completely safe. The base had protocols for dealing with escapes, and it wouldn't be long before the dogs and guards began their pursuit. As they ran, Lucas recalled the drug-induced visions, the entities and worlds he had been shown, and used this as motivation, a reminder that there were more mysteries in the universe than the horrors of Montauk. He led Michael and Tomas through the forest, moving with a purpose that transcended their escape. He was driven by a new understanding of reality and its possibilities. 4 hours, they maneuvered through the dense vegetation until they finally reached a deserted road. There they were helped by a truck driver who, by chance or destiny, was willing to believe their stories enough to take them far away from that nightmarish place. Lucas and his friends eventually went their separate ways, each seeking to unravel and confront their traumas in their own way. Lucas, now deeply marked by the experiences and visions from beyond, dedicated his life to investigating and exposing secret projects similar to Montauk, always aware that the knowledge he possessed was both a blessing and a curse. Years later, his journey led him back to the vicinity of Montauk, not as a prisoner, but as a truth seeker, determined to unearth the secrets buried beneath the ruins of that base and to warn the world of the dangers hidden in the shadows of human experimentation. Lucas became a legend among conspiracy theorists and a nightmare for those who would prefer to keep the past buried. With every step he took, he felt the echoes of those dark entities from his visions, whispering that reality was far vaster and stranger than anyone could imagine. The Netflix series Stranger Things, with its intrigues about a secret government agency conducting paranormal experiments on children, draws direct inspiration from the myths and legends surrounding the Montauk Project. The Upside Down in Stranger Things, a dark and desolate parallel universe, echoes the stories of alternative realities supposedly accessed through the Montauk experiments. Similarly, the character 11, with her powerful psychic abilities and mysterious past, reflects the narratives of the alleged individuals tested at Montauk, many of whom were subjected against their will to procedures that challenged the ethical boundaries of science. The true story of the Montauk Project, if it can ever be fully known, is a tapestry of scientific horrors, government secrets, and unspeakable suffering. The allegations of experiments conducted under the guise of national security, which resulted in both literal and figurative monsters, continue to serve as a dark testament to the depths humanity can reach in its quest for power and knowledge. Each echo in the empty corridors of Montauk serves as a chilling reminder of what can happen when science surpasses morality, leaving behind a trail of unsolved mysteries and lost souls crying out for justice. After this event, the facilities were quickly dismantled, and the records destroyed, leaving behind only fragmented accounts and a series of unanswered questions. To this day, the Montauk Project remains an enigma, a dark chapter in the history of mind control and human experimentation, shrouded in layers of disinformation, paranoia, and genuine terror. If true, it reveals a facet of humanity so disturbing that many would prefer it remained hidden in the shadows of oblivion. If you liked this video, don't forget to leave a like to support us. And more importantly, if you have any supernatural experience, don't keep it to yourself. Write your story in the comments below. Share your encounter with the unexplained, feed the collective curiosity, and who knows, maybe together we can unravel these mysteries that linger like fog between the world of the living and the dead. Remember, the unknown is always lurking, just one story away. And now, with the night falling, who knows what shadows may emerge from the darkness to whisper one more true tale of terror.